Hello everyone, it's Christine here and I'm back for Thrifty Thursday and Library Friday. So Thrifty Thursday celebrating a book that I have bought secondhand, and Library Friday giving you the opportunity to have a look at some of the parts of the book that have really caught my eye and which I think will provide some lovely stitching inspiration. So the book I got was from Purveyor of Reclaimed Textiles on Instagram. And she has amazing stitching and embroidery and all sorts of secondhand books for really, really good prices. I think I looked online and this one was selling for at least 10 times the price that she was selling it for. I think this was about $10 or maybe $15 when I bought it from her. As you can see, it's a very thick, I've got clips on the page, so that's why they're sitting out a bit, thick hardcover book. So The Art of Embroidery, and it's by Lanto Synge at the Royal School of Needlework. And starting with the cover, and apologies for any glare, I am filming this at night with lights on. Yeah, I just love this image on the cover itself. And what I'm going to do is bring you down even closer, because then I think you can get an even better look at all the different images and inspiration. If you want to freeze frame and take some inspiration yourself, you can do that. I just love these blooms. I'm not as sure about what's down the bottom. I probably wouldn't stitch a lion or a cheetah or a snake down there, but I think the intertwined tree and the blooms coming out of it, even though they're not in proportion, obviously, I just think it's wonderful and whimsical. Whether I do the bird or whether I just do the tree in this beautiful formation. And I'm toying with the idea, I do eventually want to, now that I've got over my phobia of putting zips in things, I want to get over my phobia of printing on fabric. I have a very good printer and I should, put it to use. And so I thought it might be nice to print some of these designs in a light print and then stitch into them and add my own stitchery to them. So I'm going to move into the inside cover. And just even this design and pattern, the little birds, the squirrels, even the little caterpillars down to the butterflies, and again, yeah, just the flowers and the leaves. Lots of inspiration to take from there. And this is, so the front was from an early 18th century needlework, worked in silks. And this, the dust jacket illustration, I think this is a silk picture. It's got 1646 down. Sorry, just if I can get it where you can see it. 1646 down here. And so I've clipped the pages together so I can sort of jump through and show you things as I go. I'll just try and keep the page down to keep the glare off. So I do absolutely love this particular image here, the birds, again the blooms, and how this center area is done in a lighter tone than the outer, so it's almost got an oval with its own little inner scene, a beautiful iris, I think that flower is. But yeah, so beautiful colours, the golds, burgundies, blues, greens. But yeah, what fun to just pick one of the little motifs, like these ones look like echinaceas almost, or daisies. Lots of inspiration there. So I'll jump forward to the next one that took my fancy. And it is this one over here. Let me just position myself. And this one is a birds, flowers and animals, both wild and domestic, assembled here with typical English charm in out of scale proportions, and it's from around 1720. So again, lots of inspiration if you want to do some playing with blooms, because I'm thinking I'd like to do a piece that, yeah, samples some of the techniques and the designs and the patterns. So a bit of a sampler through the ages. And I'm going to jump forward to this one because that just absolutely grabbed my eye when I saw it. And it's a Viennese chasuble. I'm not actually sure how that word's said. Chasubl. of about 1700 is decorated with rich and colourful embroidery, noticeably refraining from religious imagery. So yeah, I just love that it's all blooms, and the way that they have done the shading and the decoration on the little blooms is really, really incredible. So I'm assuming that was a piece worn sort of over the upper body, I'm thinking. And then over here we have a French crewel work bed hanging more formalised than English ones, with flower posies reminiscent of Indian marble inlay, which it definitely does have that look to it, doesn't it? Just, yeah, exquisite detailing, but then some beautiful spacing around the little posies. And I thought, how wonderful would this chair be? I would love to have that in my stitching room. So it's an early 18th century English wing chair, and it's got its original Rococo needlework worked in wools and highlighted with silks. And then over to a little scene. So English and bucolic elegance, an Eastern Bible story is represented with oak trees and oriental birds. So I love the sort of the mingling of the cultures and the traditions of stitchery. And then another birds and flowers and animals, very common themes. And this one's mid-18th century tent stitch picture, possibly for a fire screen with large blooms in an oriental vase standing in a hillocky landscape. So yeah, it's interesting that they had the almost like still life scenes but out within the landscape. Wasn't that keen on the animal over here. Just doesn't look that sort of realistic, but I did love how, even though this is in quite muted tones, it's just really incredibly thread painted, and shows that even without a lot of colour variation you can do amazing thread painting. So it's a French panel entirely worked in silk chenille, a twisted caterpillar thread producing a velvety texture from 1780. And it says, yeah, note the tones in the table carpet. So yeah, that's just amazing. Amazing to think that it's all stitched. And then another vase, but almost set sort of within the wilds of outside. And this is 19th century Berlin wool work embroidered to a printed square pattern with modern chemical dyes and beadworks for the vase. So the vase is actually done with beads. And then I'm going to jump over. I think I didn't find that much that grabbed me in the medieval period itself, so we'll jump forward to sort of towards the end of the medieval period section. I just thought this was a really peaceful image. So it's an embroidered roundel from an altar frontal after a design by Andrea del Sarto, and it shows the ability of the new technique to depict shading as in painting. And apologies if it sounds like, I think Martha said it sounds like water flowing or something. Alex has just popped the heating on in the house, so it's just venting down on me. So hopefully you can still hear me, but if you can't, at least you can enjoy the pictures. But yeah, I just before I got distracted, I love the animal behind, and I just think it's got a really peaceful feel to it. And then we come over to the post-medieval period. So this is actually a portrait or a painting, but it shows the richness of the embroidered costumes. Sorry, and I will bring it over where you can actually see it. And just look at the detail, and also of the canopy, everything. It is quite amazing. Just the sheer opulence and the amount of detail that went in. I think almost his robes are even more ornate than hers. And then coming over to one of my favourite topics, flowers. And here we have a red satin cushion of about 1600 decorated with naturalistic flowers and fruit within heart-shaped tendrils. And I just thought, what a beautiful design. And again, thinking of Martha, she loves her hearts. So yeah, wouldn't it be great to kind of make this a little bit larger and then just even, yeah, follow the stitching if I could print it onto some fabric. Again, that theme of animals and nature. But just, yeah, really interesting little scenes and just little motifs that you might want to play with, like the peacock, the unicorn down here. So this one was a number of motifs clearly derived from woodcut illustrations as shown together on a panel of 1600 at Trocare House. Then we get on to costume embroidery, and so this is a panel painting, but it just shows some of, I guess, the embroidered work on the clothes of that era. And this section talks about black work, and so here we see an amazing example in this portrait of black work. So this is Mary Cornwallis, Countess of Bath, by George Gower, around 1575. The bold flower and leaf design on her sleeve and the stump work on her skirt represent contrasting types of black work. So I'll just show you. There she is, Mary. And just look at the sleeves and look at the skirt. And again, what fun would it be to try and recreate some of this this design. Love the leaves, love these flowers. Interestingly, it says in the book, and I was wondering, and I think I heard Annie talking about this recently, Annie from Arty Farty, Annie, black work, otherwise known as Spanish work. It's a monochrome needlework, often but not always done in black. And it was thought to have been introduced to England by Catherine of Aragon, but in fact the technique was known here before her arrival. So it's got Moorish qualities and ultimately Persian in origin. So interesting. And isn't this lovely? It is a gentleman's cap from about 1620. Would have been worn in smart, informal circumstances and was probably the work of his wife or a daughter. What an incredible gift for the man in your life. I would have kept it for myself, I think. But I just love it. I think that's a strawberry there. It's just beautiful. A quite simple design over here of black work coif or headdress with a leaf and berry design. So you just see the commonality in some of the designs. Onto book bindings. Tudor and Stuart book bindings were a fascinating though short-lived phenomenon. A good many have survived, so they must have been numerous. They are mostly small, formal in design, often the work of professionals, and with one exception, the embroidery bears no reference to the actual book inside. Most were worked on crimson velvet, though numerous cases of other colours and materials are known. And they often had monograms on them, royal monograms. But yeah, just incredible detailing, and that looks like it's got metallic. Silver threads are worked in this case on a blue silk background. Then we get on to samplers, and I do love myself a sampler. And there we go, there's samplers are mentioned several times, in Elizabethan literature, notably by Skelton and Sir Philip Sidney, while Shakespeare indicates how girls were so involved in sewing them that they became useless in conversation. Fair Philomel, but she lost her tongue and in a tedious sampler sewed her mind. Maybe just enjoying the stitching more than the conversation, nothing wrong with that. Lovely little deer up there, but just look at the amazing, incredible stitching on this, and all just sort of, all mixed together, even doing like beading on some of the red work sections. Just really interesting and amazing record of of the time. Love this little dog up here and the letters. And it's got, yeah, born the 23 of November 1596, I think. And then we'll jump over a bit and we're on to the post-medieval period still. And this is an incredible pair of bared valances, pictorial panels bordered with delicate applique edges and cord work. French of origin and from around 1580. Just incredible. Imagine having that on your bed. Not as enamoured with these sorts of scenes, but I did want to show you some of the beds because wow, so opulent. It's very, when is it? Oh, late 16th century. It looks almost like from the 70s or something with that, the colours and the tones, patterns. A note on heraldry. And so heraldry was an essential language of society, a means of identification, and textiles provided one of the chief methods of depicting it. The basic badges of family and clan, nation or cause were shown in colourful representation through forms of needlework. So amazing. That looks, yeah, it looks like it's a bed, and then it's got the heraldry above it, the insignia. Another lovely one here. Official embroidery is often heavy with rich metal thread, as this Elizabeth I burst, which displays the royal arms and insignia on red velvet. And then another one here. Quite like the unicorn there. It's funny, some of the parts look quite naive in look, I think. I thought this was great. This is the garter of Maximilian the First, King of the Romans, the early surviving of this ancient order. But essentially, I guess, a belt with beautiful, beautiful embroidery on it. Then we'll jump over to the 17th century. And there we are. Beautiful. Quite simple design, but I just love the swirling of the vines, and wouldn't that be fun to kind of, yeah, stitch a version of. Just beautiful, simple designs. Repeated over again in the pattern. Now this one's interesting. So we've got a portrait here. And this is of Margaret Leighton's portrait and her embroidered jacket. So have a look at that jacket there in the portrait. And it's from about 1620. And it's fascinating for a number of reasons, not least as a demonstration of the accuracy of depiction of 17th century costume. So this is the portrait. And then the actual jacket has survived. And there it is. Let me just see if I can bring it up and give you an even closer look. I would love that, and I would wear it if I had it. I'd probably need a V-neck on it. I don't do well with a round neck, but I would wear it with a round neck. I wouldn't be altering it. But isn't that absolutely deliciously gorgeous? I do note over here she's got some even particularly more fancy little lacy cuffs, but this has quite a lovely little cuff on it. So yeah, that's incredible, and the fact that it has survived in that condition. But yeah, I think it is incredible to think of the portrait artist just doing such a true to life depiction. And then a 17th century purse embroidered with a leopard under a tree on one side and hunting animals on the other. And we're doing our Roxy bag pot. Could have taken inspiration. And then 17th century Spanish torchspool shows floss silks couched down to make bold motifs in colourful shades. And then I'll jump forward a bit. And we'll have a look at this one. So this one is one of Louis the 14th's daughters, represented as spring in this canvas wall hanging of about 1685, part of a set of 4. Really like the colours in it. It would be great if I can get the printing happening on fabric to put this in my burgundy bonheur piece. I just think the colours are absolutely perfect for it. So let me again see if I can bring it up even closer, give you a really beautiful close look at it. There is just so much incredible detail in it. Look at that. It's amazing. And then pattern books. So books were still scarce in most country houses and were not a feature of them despite other shows of wealth and culture. Pattern books and similar sources must have been shared around. And so this is a detail of a pair of blue wool curtains applied with floral lips and with floss silk embroidery from about 1635, French origins. Isn't that just lovely? I love the vibrancy of it. Some of the pieces are quite subdued earlier in the book, but this one's just so vibrant and got such depth in the flowers. And over here, there is a page from Richard Shawkley's pattern book, A Skull House for the Needle, 1632. And if you can see that darkened area down there, that is caused by pouncing, which is chalk having been rubbed through pinholes to transfer the pattern. So they would put pinholes, put chalk on it, rub it through. That's how they would do their pattern transfer, which is really interesting. But wouldn't it be fun to take this, make it a bit larger, and then transfer it on? You could put it up against the window and trace it onto fabric. Would have probably been easier if they could have done that, but not sure why they didn't. Maybe they didn't have as good light coming into their windows. Maybe they just didn't think about it. And then this one is a good reminder that we're not the only ones that sometimes don't finish our projects. So this is a partly worked silk picture with scenes from David and Bathsheba, demonstrates both the fine outline pattern drawn on a satin ground and unfaded silk embroidery. And so isn't it interesting that they've done all this amazing embroidery into the little castle and the scene down here, but then they haven't embroidered the faces, probably decided the faces were a bit hard. And yeah, even over here, haven't embroidered the people. But then it's lovely in its own charm. And some more samplers, and I can't resist a good sampler. Look at the detail in this one, and just lovely pattern, not all sorts of mixed up ones, but actually stitched together into a pattern. This one with the initials MR. More experimentation in this one of different styles, but all going together quite well. Some of the creatures I'm not even sure what they are, but I do like these little shapes, some of the interesting flower shapes. So I've got some more samplers to look at here. Lots of details in this. This one was from about 1620. And it was for recording and practicing samples of patterns for later use. So it would become almost like their own little reference guide, a bit like my dictionary of stitches, where I was recording things to remind me for later. But luckily I also have the videos of them, and I do actually refer back to them, because I often forget exactly how to do one of the many sort of, what was it, 200 and something stitches? Can't remember, or 100 and something stitches. I've even forgotten how many I did. This one's a well laid out sampler, was made by 6.5-year-old Elizabeth Hearn in 1698. 6.5, and you can stitch like that. My goodness. Look at the writing down here. Amazing. Amazing, amazing. And then we've got some more samplers over here. Just incredible, got incredible lace work. Sisters worked these fine samples with minor variations. They included whitework techniques, alphabets and text. So yeah, just Just incredible. So following a similar pattern, but a little bit of variation. So I'll try and get the shine off it for you. And then this one. And then we've got embroidered pictures and stump work. Not as enamoured with this one down here. Very colourful, very heavily ornate. Some more seams. This one I wanted to show you because we have been doing our Roxy boxes, and so this one is a 17th century dome topped casket with many exterior and interior three-dimensional stump work panels, which include classical and biblical scenes. But even just look at the coat that's been done here. Just amazing. So a bit of inspiration there if you haven't done your Roxy box, and then some more inspiration over here as well. More seams, and then I wanted to come over here and show you this one, which is really interesting. A 17th century beadwork basket, partly sewn and partly threaded on a wire framework. So it's got this whole scene, and then got the flowers beaded and standing out off it. So real stump work. And we've got some more seams. This one I quite like. I like the scene with the lady with her instrument. That deer, and then the flowers, not in proportion, the sun, the clouds, again quite more muted tones. This one looks like it's all been done in beads, but I'm not as much of a fan of that one. But from 1660. And then we're back to book bindings again. And this is a prayer book presented to William Murray by Charles I, displays the king's arms and insignia rather than religious emblems. Just incredible, the metalwork on that. And then we're on to crewel work and oriental influences, and again what a fabulous design to transfer to some fabric and stitch into. This was part of a crewel work bed curtain, one of a set. This one signed and dated BH 1689. The monochrome tree of life pattern with Baroque curling leaves of oriental origin. And then that's the design that we had on the inside cover. And then just love this. Densely rich crewel work embroidery on the large bed hanging depicts birds, animals, flowers and fruit in a tree of life stemming from a hillocky ground. So yeah, there's the hillocky ground with quite Asian almost influences down here. And then coming up into this intertwining tree of life with all the blooms and birds and leaves and flowers. Such an incredible design. The amount of work that would have gone into that, whereas I think I'd just be taking one little design element. And here's a lighter version of an English bed hanging about 1700, and it's got I can never say that word, chinoiserie and Indian influence, and worked in twisted wools. Just amazing. I think I like that one a bit better. It sort of, it stands out a bit better. Now we're going to jump forward, and I had to stop here and show you this incredible collar. A fine collar of cut work with complex stitching, Italian, probably Venetian, from around 1610. Just amazing. But it's interesting, some of these little cut work or lace designs I've definitely seen in pieces, vintage pieces. I don't have a collar like that. I certainly wouldn't be cutting into it if I did. I think I'd have to wear that as well, just for the fun of that. Dial into my work meetings wearing it. And this is another one of actual portraits, so paintings, but again just to demonstrate the absolute lushness. You can see this, I think, velvets of these gowns. Look at the shoes even, sorry. I will let you look at the shoes. Look at those shoes or slippers. My goodness, even her one's down there. But yeah, very ornate. And then we're over here to this koi for headdress. Again, animals and flowers. And then richly embroidered heather coloured suit worn by James II at his marriage in 1673. Lovely. And look at this sort of almost lace or cutwork scarf or carafe. And then some more beautiful clothing. This early 18th century outfit includes petticoat, waistcoat and stomacher. Maybe I need a stomacher. All embroidered in silk and gold thread on a vernacular quilted ground. So the actual, yeah, you can see the little quilting detailing in it. And the beautiful, beautiful embroidery. And just how much it puffs out from the waist. And then the lovely suit, a men's formal costume in the late 18th century, was often very rich, in this case of cut and uncut velvet with fine professional embroidery. You would feel very glamorous wearing that. Now I'm not sure I would want to wear something like this. So mid-18th century costume, especially wide mantua dresses such as this, provided an opportunity for spectacular embroidery in both silks and metal threads. So you're almost like a walking painting, I suppose. But it doesn't look that great for, I'm not sure how you sit down in something like that. I don't think you do. You probably stay standing and probably can't wait to get yourself out of your skirt. And that's Cecil Beaton's photograph of the Queen, then Princess Elizabeth, an embroidered dress. And then we're over to the 18th century. Very country scene. Arcadian elegance, a well-dressed lady and her gentleman in an undulating landscape. Blessed by the smiling sun, all superbly worked and wonderfully unfaded, from around 1730. Like the little church, the sun, and yeah, all the animals, including the milkmaid milking the, doesn't look like a cow, not sure. And then we'll jump forward a bit onto crewel work, quiltings and other bedroom items. So another lovely crewel work design of flame colours. Full look at that. And then part of a set of crewel work bed hangings, perhaps Scottish, one with cipher of James Stewart, the old pretender, early 18th century. And then this is, as if for a child's nursery, this crewel work curtain portrays a glorious jungle of cheerful animals, exotic birds and luscious flowers. So again, the sort of Asian influences down here. And that sort of tree of life imagery, but then all the lovely birds and animals and all the animals down here amongst the hills. Lots of undulating hills as well is a common theme in the pieces. So you can see how those things like the passion books and other things must have been, yeah, doing the rounds, the fashion of the day. And this one's a French crewel work. They're curtains. Strap work border and exuberant flowers in the centre. Yeah, exuberant, but also again nicely sort of spread out. Another fancy bed. Again, I like these lighter backgrounds then with the pieces, yeah, shining out. A small coverlet for a child's cot, embroidered with flowers, birds and animals from around 1710. Just so lucky to have these pieces with us still. And then this one, a magnificent Queen Anne coverlet in bright silks, retains the quartered design of an oriental carpet or book cover. So yeah, you can see how it's quartered, symmetrical. And then this is an English quilted panel imitates the fineness and elegance of Indian embroidery. So it was those Indian influences coming in, and I particularly, like those. Some more lovely examples. Again, just, real opportunity to take particular little parts of the design and stitch into it if I can transfer it to fabric. And then white work, amazing white work. That's an Irish linen coverlet of knotted and couched cord made by Mrs. Delaney in 1765. See, this is why we need to write our names on our work, so we can be, someone can find it in years to come, and you can end up in a book if we have books in years to come. And then another beautiful one. Sorry, the warming air has come on again above me. Sorry, I'm moving my phone accidentally across the surface. And then we've got canvas work. Beautiful design over here. Just bring it up a bit closer. It's a very heavy book. I do like, I particularly like that one. I think that'd be lovely to do. Some more fascinating designs. Look at this one, all growing up from these lower leaves. And then pomegranates. I do love pomegranates. And it's a French screen. And interestingly, the unusual fruits are a feature of French needlework not seen in English patterns, 1720. So I wonder if it was that those more exotic fruits and other things when making it to France, or maybe they were just more accepted in France. You would have thought it's not too far from France to England to need to, that they wouldn't have had them there. Of the earlier part of the 18th century, this hanging has recognisable French features, a white background and curious exotic fruits amongst the boldly curving leaves. So that more, exoticism. Lovely little scene here with a little castle in the background. Now this next one reminded me when I did my Chateau inspired garden embroidery. Now this is obviously a lot more detailed than that. But I kind of like that it's that looking down scene, and isn't it amazing? Just getting a closer look without the glare as well. Just even that back wall made to look like bricks, and the gardens and the fountain. Remember when we were doing Down the Garden Path with Roxy's Journal of Stitchery, and had to do a water feature, I think was one of the prompts in our garden scenes. The balustrade, even the pile of, it looks like, a pile of clothes down there. Not sure. Unless something worse has happened down here, I'm not sure. Let's see what it says. One of two large 18th century tent stitch hangings originally from Stoke Edith, Herefordshire, depicting formal gardens with figures and buildings. So I was going to show you this one we've seen because it's what's on the front. Yes, the front cover picture. This one's lovely. And so this one was worked by Lady Helen Macdonald, mid-18th century, in patterns influenced by French designs. Beautiful colours, beautiful brightness to it. And then went on to carpets. Look at this. And this was a French table carpet, so I guess that went over the table. A tour de force of colourful shading on a black background entirely of wool. It's bordered with elegant plumes in single and mixed colours. It is lovely. It's a shame we can't but I guess we do see some elements of these in fabrics that sort of come back and bring elements of designs, but wouldn't that be lovely in a fabric? And then a carpet with the Holt family arms at its centre for Aston Hall, around 1760 just. Just incredible. Look at that detail. It is amazing. And then mosaics, I was saying before that I absolutely love mosaics, and this is a large 18th century embroidery depicting one of the mosaics found on the site of the Roman villa at Stonesfield, Oxon, based on a contemporary engraving. Fabulous, fabulous. It's even got the writing down here. And other lovely works. So carpet or hangings. Give a closer look at them as well. Just gorgeous. That one reminds me of a cornflower down there. Some more lovely ones. Just so much inspiration. Definitely remind me if I forget. I don't know when it will be, but I do want to come back. Maybe I'll take this on a holiday, or try and print some on fabric ahead of a holiday, and yeah, do some stitching. So we're back to samplers. So a rare Scottish sampler, worked in 2 colours only with bands of pattern. And curiously decorated lettering, apparently. So do you want to see some curiously decorated lettering there? And so just worked in that sort of reddy colour and greeny colour. But very striking, really. Look at the detail up the very top. Really lovely. And then some more samplers over here. Beautiful still life flower scene sampler. Proverbs. £17.54 for this one by Anne Strubs, shows an ambitious basket of flowers. But ambitious, but I think well done indeed. And just beautiful borders around it as well. Lovely brightness to this one. An elegant sampler of 1752 may be noted for its well-balanced layout. Yeah, lovely. Beautiful border again. Could take just those elements. I'll just give you a closer look actually, because I do think it's rather lovely. Getting my arm muscle workout holding up this book. And this one again with that sort of oval design in the centre. Yeah, so as more often with American samplers, this English one consists of a densely embroidered picture with a central panel of lettering. Almost like that's a sort of a bubble sitting in the scene. And lots of writing in this one. Exceptionally finely embroidered, this sampler includes the various crowns and coronets of the nobility, useful symbols for marking linen. Amazing. 1769 on that. And then these ones are really interesting map related samplers. I really like the idea of that. Wouldn't it be fun to do some stitching? Because I do want to do something travel related. Wouldn't it be lovely to stitch some maps? Again, print and then stitch into it. Some more interesting ones. Let's have a look at this one over here. Just so much on it. You do wonder how long it took some people to do these, but they were probably doing it in their spare time. Didn't have TV, didn't have radio, books were rare, so you would get out your stitching and work on it. But yeah, you wouldn't want to make a mistake when it's so, yeah, so much time invested in, but I suppose you could always unpick it. Jolly scene there. Again, the big flowers and animals, not in proportions. This reminds me of some of the toiles I've got almost with these sorts of features, which is interesting. So mid-18th century French picture depicting men and women working in a garden by a monumental staircase with fountains. An unusually fine, large panel entirely worked in minute beads. So they are all beads. Wow, look at that dress. And the leaves, just the shading that they have done with beads. And the face even, the lips. And then later Georgian costume furnishings and pictures. Love this, yeah, horn with the flowers, the blooms, and this lighter, brighter piece as well. Let me bring it up for you. Again, it'd be wonderful just to take some of these flowers and have a go at stitching them. I love this next one. Beautiful birds, peacocks, I think. But that design, so dainty and just very bright and light, delicate. Give you a closer look at some of the detail. There's just so much in to see these. You could almost stare at these for the whole hour, and actually, yeah, only look at one image. But yeah, what a wonderful inspiration book to have, and through the ages to kind of be able to see how things, yeah, morphed and changed. But I do love this little tree and the little berries and then the birds around and the bows. This one I thought was interesting because it's an example of portrait work, which I've seen more modern versions of it done, but yeah, in embroidery. So long embroidered pictures such as this by Hannah Otis were made in Boston, incorporating a number of narrative scenes joined. Oh, sorry, that's the above one. Sorry, we'll get over to this side. Mary Knowles, 1733 to 1807, copied prints and paintings with stitches resembling brush strokes. This self-portrait shows her embroidering a version of Zoffany's portrait of George III in 1771. Wow, so self-portrait, captured yourself in thread. I think I actually saw Susanna from Vintage Blend Studio. I think she did a self-portrait of her and her hubby. I've never tried that. Don't know if I need to immortalise my face in stitch. But it's lovely. I just love even the little tone on the on the face, and it does look like sort of brush strokes. And then we'll jump forward. A note on furniture. And aren't these chairs lovely? I just love the decorative tops on them and the design with the flowers. Give you a closer look at them as well. An amazing box cabinet. Just look at the detailing. It's got embroidered panels following the painted interiors of Flemish versions. And then I love my blues, so I had to show you these ones. Part of a blue crewel work hanging with stylized leaves worked in satin stitch on a closely woven wool background. Isn't that lovely? And again, just to take some of these elements or to print it and stitch into it. And we'll jump forward a bit to some more furniture. Just gorgeous. Would again love that for my craft room. It's got that real William Morris sort of look about it. And this lovely little settee that could be waiting outside my craft room. Beautiful chair here. Indian design inspired and worked in unusually fine stitch. It looks like it has done so well over time. I guess some of these sat in stately homes and weren't actually used as chairs. This one has vases all over it. The above English seat chair, one of a set of variations, exuberant blooms in fine and coarser tent stitch. I haven't done tent stitch. I'm going to have to look up what's involved in that. And this is on a black background, very, very striking. And then this one over here for playing cards. This one's another lovely settee or sofa, all packed together, very dense, but just looks so lush and lovely. Lots of beautiful chairs. Another lovely design down here, a stool cover, all done in very sort of, similar tones up here. And beautiful chairs, dining chairs, I guess. Wool embroidered, naturalistic flowers in satin stitch, and then entirely and worked on entirely rust red ground. And then on to the 19th century, some very fancy costumes. I liked these little sheep down here, a ram, a ewe and lamb on a silk ground. Bring them up so you can get a proper look. Quite different from the other things in the book. French Empire neoclassicism is epitomised in this embroidered satin cousin and bony. Very ornate. Looks like a painting. It is just amazing. Worked in silk chenille, a basket packed with garden flowers. I'll have to give you a closer look at this one. Even just what's on the table, even the table or the ground itself where it's sitting. But then the flowers themselves, how delicious is that? And then we're back to some samplers. So this is by an 11-year-old, commemorating the death of King George III's wife, Charlotte. Just amazing. What incredible records, but how lovely that they are still here and that they put their names on them. Jane Howard sampler of 1830 records the members of her family. And look at this beautiful, beautiful monochrome sampler. All the lovely lettering, again a reference so that they could kind of do that again, and all the symbols and patterns and borders. What a lovely, lovely reference. And then a late 19th century woolwork sampler reverts to the true purpose of recording patterns and techniques. So yeah, they kind of went through a variety of, from their original purpose of recording to then being decorative. This is 1849 sampler with an interesting combination of subjects and little scenes, all within a rosebud and honeysuckle border. Very lovely border. But yeah, the little church scenes, very intricately done. Love that bird up there. Beautiful, beautiful dog over here. Just the shine that's been encapsulated. Got some, this one's incredible. Look at the size. So that's a real sized person. Colossal French carpet made up of squares, tiles of repeated design from around 1850. Very William Morris in that design. And then here we are, Art Needlework, the Royal School, William Morris and Revivals. So this is William Morris artichoke hanging of 1877. a design inspired by Islamic patterns and Baroque silks based on similar forms. So it's delightful, delightful, delightful. I'm just jumping forward, but I think my little clip has come off here, so I was going to jump forward, but I was going to stop at this one as part of China and Asiatic designs. Thought this one was really lovely. An informal woman's row with auspicious peonies and the character shoe in stylized seal form for long life, late 19th century. And then coming forward to China's needlework imported to Europe, so made for the European market. Just, yeah, love the birds in this and the thread painting that's been done on the flowers, etc. A lovely shawl with vignettes typical of those adopted in English chinoiserie crockery of today. So yeah, you can see the themes and the motifs flowing throughout. Indian export needlework, so I do enjoy a lot of this as well, probably a little bit more than the Chinese ones. Just, yeah, love, and I see this in quite a bit of like the French general patterns and styles. It's got a beautiful cleanness and brightness and simplicity and lightness of design, I think. I'll have to move forward fast. I think we're almost there, but I won't won't delay too much because I shouldn't go past the hour mark. Again, this reminds me of some of the inlaid stonework I saw when I was visiting India. Again, just lots of lovely design ideas to draw from. Oh, I did have a few I wanted to show you in here. This one's an amazing city and early 19th century cashmere shawl elaborately embroidered with a map of it. Shringar. Just have a look at that. Wouldn't it be great to do a, maybe not on this scale, but a smaller scale even of where you live or something. Lovely design over here as well. And then that's a more recent, I think that was on the Queen's Silver Jubilee Cope, designed by Geraldine. Amazing scene of churches. I have my own little stitchery from the lovely Linda of the crooked spire. And then Baroque Rococo, again just lovely design elements to consider. And then, yeah, we're through to the back of the book with that beautiful, beautiful panel. So I hope you enjoyed that look at the Art of Embroidery, History of Style and Technique. You might be able to find it in your library. I'm certainly going to enjoy, drawing from this for inspiration, and stay tuned to see a project in the future. Thanks for watching, and I will see you soon for some more stitching. Bye, everyone.